And good afternoon, financial professionals. My name is John Florence. I am Senior Vice President of Marketing here at E4 Insurance Services, and I'm welcoming you today to the Brew, where we build relationships every week. Thanks for tuning in today. For those of you joining the Brew for the first time, welcome. We like to begin the Brewcast by celebrating today's national days. Today happens to be National Big Wind Day. I was thinking I didn't really want to touch that one with a 10-foot pole, but what it really refers to is the afternoon of April 12th, 1934, when the highest natural gust of wind ever was measured in the United States. This was at the Mount Washington Observatory, and they clocked winds at 231 miles per hour. That's pretty windy. Today is also National Licorice Day, where we celebrate that most celebrated and controversial of candies. Some people love it, some people hate it. And if you're a lover, you have your world of choices when it comes to colors, flavors, and shapes. For my part, I'll go down later today and enjoy some black jelly beans. Today is also National Grilled Cheese Sandwich Day, a day that recognizes that paragon of comfort foods, toasted bread and melty cheese. Since prehistoric times, people and cultures around the world have enjoyed this treat in countless forms. So whether you prefer it on white bread with a bowl of tomato soup, or Mexican style in a folded tortilla with guacamole, today is your day to make and enjoy that favorite version of the ubiquitous grilled cheese sandwich. So that's today's national days. On today's Brew, we welcome Steve Walker. Welcome back, Steve Walker, I should say, as well as Bob Proudfoot. Steve is Vice President for Institutional Accounts here at E4 Insurance Services, and Bob is a partner at one of the firms that we work closely with, which is North Risk Partners. Steve and Bob are going to be talking about an opportunity for businesses to make available a valuable benefit to their employees without having additional costs to the business by utilizing Cincinnati's Worksite life insurance program. They're going to show us how it can be successfully implemented for the business clients that you work with. Before we jump into the program today, feel free to use the chat box to share your thoughts or ask questions. Also, all attendees are in a drawing for a CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card, and we'll be announcing the winner at the end of the program. While we're waiting to see if there are any more people to join the meeting, I'd like to welcome both Steve and Bob. I'm going to turn off my mic and I'm going to hand the podium, as it were, over to you guys and let you have a conversation about what you're doing with Cincinnati and their Worksite program. Welcome to the show, guys.
That sounds great. Thanks for the intro, John, and excited to be on here on National Licorice and Grilled Cheese Day. I mean, that's right around the lunch hour. It's a dangerous topic to bring up, so very cool there.
I was going to say, John, I'm kind of hungry right now. Thanks for bringing up the grilled cheese.
I know what I'm doing right after this is over.
You're not going to wait. You're going on Grubhub and you're ordering something right now for delivery. I can tell. But no, I'm really excited. Every time we get to be a part of this great program on every Wednesday with Brew, talk on different opportunities that are available for all of our advisors. Bob and I recently worked with one of his clients in Minnesota. About 2 months ago, 6 weeks, 2 months ago, give or take, we did an enrollment in the Cincinnati Life insurance product, voluntary life insurance guaranteed issue. We'll talk on some of the high points here. And it was a great success. And when we asked Bob to join and share his thoughts from the advisor's seat, he's very enthused about this product, and I think he'll share looking for some other opportunities with other clients that he has. So just a quick overview of Bob and North Risk Partners. So North Risk Partners is an insurance and benefits agency, and Bob is one of the partners. And Bob, your practice is primarily commercial insurance as well as benefits. Obviously see the value in life insurance, but again, really that primary revenue driver day-to-day activity is the commercial lines and the benefits, correct?
Yeah, 100%, Steve. So thanks again. Yeah, thanks for having me. I would tell you that I'm probably 85-15, 85 commercial, 15 in the benefit space. So small group, large group, a lot of support on that side, but most of my revenue is going to come in the form of commercial lines.
And in talking with other agencies and as well as with Cincinnati Life, I mean that's really that sweet spot. Seeing this the Worksite program that they have to offer in those businesses. We'll talk about some of the requirements, but in particular, if you've got a business that has 15 or more full-time employees, and what Cincinnati doesn't have to be benefit eligible, just working 20 hours a week. That's what they find as full-time employees. Cincinnati Life will offer their Worksite program, which is guaranteed issue life insurance up to age limits, without any participation requirements, which is one of the very unique features that goes into that. Is you've got 15 or more employees and one person says yes to it, as long as the product's offered to all the employees and everybody else signs a waiver, guaranteed issue no matter what. The only two questions that matter on that application is, are you working 20 hours a week? And do you smoke cigarettes? Those are the only two questions that really matter. But before we dive into a little bit more details on the solution, Bob, what was it really that caught your eye? That made you say, "Hey, This was the first Worksite case that you've done. I know you've heard about it for a while. What really caught your eye to say, "Hey, I want to bring this up to the business that we ultimately just enrolled not too long ago"?
In this particular one, so I also, in my role with North Risk, I also manage our relationship with Cincinnati Insurance, Cincinnati Life Insurance on that side. So I had been talking with Chris Umadon for probably a year now, and I had promised her that I would find a Worksite Life opportunity and bring it in the door for us. And so it had been on my radar for a while. Now, ultimately, what happened on this particular case, this was a commercial renewal that I was doing last spring. And during our renewal process, of course, we have our coverage checklist. And then one of the questions is with regard to life insurance. And, rather than hit it from the key person buy sell, which we do a lot, I actually led with the Worksite Life side as to, client, what do you think of this opportunity? What do you think if I brought in a product that we could set in front of your employees? It doesn't have to be a cost to the business, an ultimate benefit to the employee. And something struck with Joel at the time, and I think he had a few people ask, because they actually have a group life policy in place inside, and I believe it was 30,000 is what they have inside. And he came back and he said, you know what, I've had some people come up to me and ask me about life insurance. I think this would be great. Let's do it. Well, then that sets the stage of, okay, well, what's next? I mean, this is probably last March, and then you start thinking through, okay, well, what's the timing look like? And, ultimately a year later is when we finally got the group enrolled and done. And that's not always the way it's going to work by any stretch. That's not the design, but part of Cincinnati's process, and they're professionals at this, they are going to walk through and figure out the best timing as well. Because again, this happened to be a construction company. They were just starting to get busy in their season. Timing would not have been good. The distractions of their mindset would have been elsewhere at the time. And Cincinnati said, let's hold off. Let's wait till fall. So we decided to do that. Fall turned into, well, what about the end of the year? And again, Cincinnati came back and said, this might not be the best timing. Everybody's buying Christmas presents. They got this, they got this, they got this. Maybe now's not the time to ask them to devote money to life insurance. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. So that's how it ultimately got to be February when this really kicked in 23. So, but yeah, it was really just us asking, and in that vein of Worksite Life, Steve, is how I went after it from our question on our coverage checklist. Long way to get to that answer. Sorry.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's it. Again, I think the big thing on this and any solution, whether it's this or buy, sell, or key person, whatever that really avenue is you're hitting on goals and minimizing concerns, and it just becomes down to being consistent with the ask, and you mentioned obviously the company having group life, which many have some sort of group life. So sometimes I talk to advisors and they say, well, they've already got group life, and this isn't designed to compete with group life, because group life is paid for by the business. If the employee leaves or retires, they don't keep it with them. Whereas in Cincinnati, it's fully paid for by the employee. It's owned by the employee. And if they leave or retire, they get to keep it with them. And before we kind of dive into a little bit more on the case specific, I'm going to share my screen here real quick. And if anybody wants this marketing piece from Cincinnati, certainly reach out to your contact at E4, whether it's myself or any one of our great team members, and we can get this to you in digital form or have it mailed out to you. But the couple of the highlights I wanted to focus on is not only is it there's multiple products. It's not just term insurance, because term insurance is great, but as we can see here, you can offer 10 and 20-year term. We can also, on top of that, offer 20-year return of premium term up until age 50. So you put your premiums in, you've got the death benefit protection for 20 years. And at the end of the 20 years, the client gets to make the decision, hey, do I want 80% of what I put in back? Or do I want paid up life insurance that's good until age 99? So just a great benefit there. And then whole life, again, permanent life insurance that there is forever. You could pay to 100 or have it paid up at age 65. And then the group Bob and I worked with just not too long ago, there's actually quite a few that saw the value in permanent life insurance. So again, it's multiple products that those employees keep with them even beyond employment. And like we talked about, the guidelines, you got to have 15 employees, no participation requirements. And again, 20 employees that are working 20 hours a week or more. You can get coverage obviously for the employee, but also their spouse, children, and grandchildren can be eligible. All set up on list bill. So again, it's just payroll deduction. So very easy for the clients. And then on here, the last thing I just wanted to share with here is the guaranteed issue amount. So for the employee ages 18 to 50, guaranteed issue of $100,000. Age 51 to 60 is 75,000, and 61 to 70, 25,000. You can see the limits for spouse and kids as well. And then below that, for simplified issue, any of those, whether it's employee, spouse, or children, if you want to go above your guaranteed issue amount, Cincinnati will go simplified issue up to 200,000, which is pretty powerful. It's an additional 6 questions, and they approve about 92% of the simplified issue. And if somebody says, hey, I want to go above 200,000 and I want to keep it as list bill, you can still do that. You can go above and beyond that as far as we go. So just a few of the highlights product wise I wanted to touch on, and really going back to you, Bob, I know you talked about doing that renewal with Joel. They had asked, kind of what opportunities are out there outside of, just kind of asking at the right time. Do you think, was there any other specific key point that you mentioned to Joel that was really good for the business?
Well, I mentioned that again, kind of the things you hit on, Steve, that the employee owns it. It's portable. It goes with them. They can take it into retirement. Those were important aspects, because again, it really sits alongside of the group life, because it definitely doesn't take the place of it. So those were the big pieces. I kind of piqued their interest and got them kind of excited to take a look at it. And at that point, we were off and running. Then it was, like I said, trying to pin down what the time looked like to actually set it up and go through it.
Yeah. So kind of talk about that. So now we're at the point, you brought it up, just like any other meeting with the client. You bring something up, and all right, they said yes. What's the next steps? This was your first one. For many people, the next one they do is going to be their first worksite case.
Yep.
Client says yes. Walk from your shoes as the advisor. Walk everybody through what was that process like, going from yes to enrollment date.
So the next step really is there's a qualifier, 1-page qualifier application that you have to walk through. Fairly straightforward. Just ask some of the basics on the group, the size, the number of employees, things like that you have to walk through. Cincinnati, you send that off to Steve or directly to Cincinnati, and then they start to get that group set up. And then it really comes down to the timing of it, right? Of when do we want to do this? And again, they're experts at it. Steve, obviously you and E4 and the team can help with that as well, but it's pinning down what that window looks like to get this group enrolled and set up correctly, and kind of walking through that, from my end of it. So once that date was established, and okay, and let's say it's May 1st, probably a month ahead of that time, Cincinnati is going to start what they call basically a drip campaign to the employees. So it can be payroll stuffers, it can be handouts, it's flyers they'll put up at their office or in the break room or wherever. So there's a very deliberate process that they will go through, and that's worked. And I think that's what starts to separate this from any other offering that you can go out there and do. So it's going to start out with, okay, here's our group meeting when it's going to get scheduled. So you'll put that out. That date will be out there. Then they'll have a flyer on, the easy access to life insurance, kind of the bullet points on what that looks like for the employee to kind of review. Then they'll have another one that they utilize that again talks a little bit about payroll deduction life insurance and what that looks like, and some of the costs, the financial security, why you're buying life insurance, all those pieces to it. So it's really a, hopefully you have a 3-4 week window that you can start to put these building blocks in front of the employees, to build on that to get to the group meeting.
That's awesome. And as you and I talked about, Bob, our time has certainly flown by, but one last comment and then a question for you before we turn it back over to John to open up the lines for questions, comments, and all that. But one thing you mentioned, Bob, is Cincinnati's got a ton of resources. They provide the drip campaign. They help set up the group meeting. And one thing, whether it's Cincinnati or us at E4, we want to be there to help. Because again, we tried to make that, that first case for Bob as smooth as possible. One of the professionals at Cincinnati used a great phrase, so I'm going to steal it from him. We want to teach you to fish. So we want to help be there for you. We want to support you. That's, as many of you know, one of our mottos at E4 is make life simple. So we want to be there for you. We're there to support you. You're not off on your own. So again, the participation, it was great. Cincinnati sees about a 35 to 38% participation. Bob's was over that. He did it right, and really had great buy-in from the company. So last question for you, Bob, and then I'm going to turn it over and back over to John. You mentioned having a couple other groups. Obviously, thought it was a success, but was there anything that was challenging that you saw from the advisor standpoint? Anything that you weren't aware of, or anything you'd caution other advisors for? Or any other last thoughts you have?
Great question, Steve. So a couple things I would mention on that front. Number one, E4 in Cincinnati is going to make this a very smooth, streamlined process. Thanks to Allison, thanks to Lucy, Steve, the team, Brent, Maria, and Chris on the Cincinnati side. They made it unbelievably easy to walk through. Once the applications are done and you've got those, you're going to send those into E4. They're going to scrub those and kind of get them ready, and then come back to you with the list of a few things that you didn't do correct, right? We didn't check this box. We didn't need, you need to do this. But it's very easy from that end of it. My biggest thing to anybody else that's going to look to do this, I think first and foremost, you need to have the commitment of the leadership, management inside the company. They've got to support it and be 100% behind it to get you to this point and have it be a successful experience. And I think we 100% had that with the group I went through. But to me, that would be the biggest thing. Is it's not let's just offer it. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's just do it. It needs to be something that you drive home the point with the leadership group that I need your support behind this in order for it to be a success. And you're putting something in front of these employees that they likely aren't going to go out and seek elsewhere. So you're giving them something that they're not usually going to go find. This was a construction company, which can be a little challenging just due to trying to, it's like herding cats sometimes with construction, right? They're everywhere. But it took more work, and that's where I say the commitment on the leadership side is huge to keep that kind of wrangled in. But once you do that, you're doing a great benefit for the employees, their families, their loved ones. My employer also came back and said, finally, I put something in front of my employees that they wanted. I'm so happy we did this. And other than time, it didn't cost them a penny. So that would be my takeaway from it. Great experience. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, no, thank you very much, Bob, for your insight, your testimonial. I mean, it was great. Look forward to the next one. I agree that leadership, owner buy-in is huge. You know, if they see it, they're gonna certainly promote it for their team. So back over to Senior Licorice and Grilled Cheese Day himself, Mr. John.
Thank you, Steve and Bob, for that share. That's really fascinating, and it seems like a really tremendous opportunity for the advisors that tune into the brew to be able to take advantage of. While we're waiting to see if there are any final questions from our audience, I'd like to remind everybody that today's brew and our entire library of episodes are recorded and shared on the Brew blog on our website at www.e4.insurance, as well as on our YouTube channel. And also, let's not forget our giveaway. Steve or Bob, I'll let you two duke it out. Who wants to pick a number between 1 and 20?
You go ahead, Bob.
3.
Number 3. Let's see who we have as a winner. A winner today is Tim Reeder. Tim, congratulations. Be on the lookout for the complimentary CE voucher and the Starbucks gift card coming your way from all of us here at E4 Insurance Services. So a couple of questions that popped up in my chat box. How was, when you guys have done this program recently, how was it received by the employees themselves, as well as the owners of the company?
Yeah, and I can answer that. I think I've kind of hit on the ownership side. I'd say the company itself was ecstatic to be able to put this in front of the employees and have the employees very accepting of it. And when you say, how did the employees receive it? I would tell you this, it is extremely, this is not high pressure sales. They want everybody to have the same opportunity. That's what gets us to the guarantee issue side. So everybody needs to hear it and see it. But if somebody needs to sign off, sign off. And if you're not interested, you're not interested. We're not here to high pressure sell into the life insurance space. But I will tell you this, of the group we had roughly, I think we were, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were just over 50% participation on this particular group. So I would consider that very well received.
That was a great success. I was thinking it was right around that 50%, about 38,000 of life insurance premium, you know, a lot of death benefit put in for. So yeah, just a great opportunity, great success.
Another question, and I think you might have mentioned this, but maybe you can elaborate on it. Is there any minimum number of employees that should be considered in an organization, or, you know, can it just be a mom and pop type of shop?
Great question. So the minimum for eligible participants is 15, but there's no participation requirements, with the one exception of if you are an insurance agency licensed with Cincinnati, even if you have under 15 employees at your agency, Cincinnati more times than not will allow you as an agency to offer that, because again, they see that as a great opportunity. When the agents are going through the process on their own, they'll see that simple process and be able to offer that to their clients better off. But typically 15 employees with no participation requirements.
You know, I'll add one more comment on that, Steve and John, is that if you do have a large group, and it's going to be a little intimidating thinking, how am I going to get through this 100-person group? And it's my second case I've ever done. Cincinnati does have an enrollment team on their side as well. I know, Steve, you mentioned it on your side, E4 has and can help and assist with that. Cincinnati, if you get into a larger group, they will have an enrollment team that will just come in. Literally, you hand it off to them, set it up, and their team will come in and do the complete enrollment for you. And I think at that point, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a 50-50 split.
Yep. Cincinnati, and that multiple states, larger organizations, that's all their enrollment team does, is go into worksite enrollment. So yeah, it's just a nice 50-50 split for making an introduction.
Fantastic. Great information. One last question here, and then I'm going to let you guys go and we'll wrap it up. Many of our audience are business owners themselves. Is there any reason why they would not consider doing something like this for their employees?
I'll let you go first, Bob, unless you want me to take it first.
Well, I mean, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want to have this. I mean, like, again, the paperwork isn't, I mean, Cincinnati's going to send you a monthly list bill of who's on it, and you're going to deduct that from the paycheck and off you go. In my opinion, again, I can't see a reason you wouldn't want to put this in front of them and give them the opportunity to have that chance. And again, to Steve's point, I've often sold in my career, it's mostly been term, right? I was shocked at this enrollment of how many bought whole life and paid to 65 normally is what they wanted, but it was the majority. We were well over 50% took whole life on it. So it kind of opened my eyes to that as well. Steve, I'll let you chime in.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think you hit it right on the head. No reason not to. There's no direct cost to the business, and really, in talking to Cincinnati, having those, we will see more success, in my opinion, with 10, 50-person groups than one 500-person group, because a lot of times those are more closely operated, maybe a family business. So they're going to see that success. The owners are going to buy in, because a lot of times, no matter the size of the company, the owners, they've taken care of themselves. They've taken care of their buy, sell, their personal planning. And Bob kind of touched on this a little bit ago, but not very often anymore nowadays are people going out and talking to the masses. So this is a great way to make that offer and get the rest of the employees thinking. So it's going to be a great perceived value that doesn't cost the business anything.
Well, fantastic. We're going to have to leave it on that note. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your time today and sharing this important and valuable information. And I think it remains a tremendous opportunity for our listeners to be able to explore a little bit further. As we say, please reach out to either Bob or Steve for more information about this kind of a program. So we already announced the winner for the prize today. So it really, all we have left is wrapping up. And today, I just want to say, please join us next week. We're going to be welcoming Mike Pinkins, who is a regional vice president at E4. Mike is going to be talking about how to use qualified money to buy linked benefit long-term care contracts. Additionally, he's going to share how clients could potentially receive a 25% bonus on the qualified money used to fund that contract. So that'll be next week on The Brew. We hope you can join us then. We'll look forward to seeing you here. Have a great day.